Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories, where today, my Karen roommate stole from me, so her wallet vanished. Back in college, I had better credit than my 3 other roommates, so I put our internet and TV under my name, otherwise the deposit would have been $600. The cable company offered me a $300 Visa gift card upon sign-up. 2 months later, I called them because the gift card never arrived. They tell me that they sent it a few weeks ago, and eventually I'm able to find out from Visa that someone used it at the Whataburger, Target, and liquor store near my house. I'm ticked off because obviously one of my roommates had used it, but I didn't know which one. A few weeks later, roommate number 2 complains that their $200 birthday gift card to Target has gone missing. His mom still had the receipt, and the store was able to tell her that someone used it at the Target near our house. He's obviously ticked off too, but we've now realized it's probably one of the other 2 roommates. A couple of weeks after that, roommate number 3's wallet disappears. We turned the house upside down looking for it, and we knew it had to be in the house because her car key is attached to her wallet, and her car is parked at the house. She is absolutely frantic, sobbing, screaming, hyperventilating, etc., throwing crap everywhere, and just having an absolute meltdown while tearing the house apart. We had never seen her behave like this, so we're all kind of surprised she'd be that upset about her wallet. It's stressful, sure, but I genuinely was concerned about how she was reacting. She says the gift card thief must have taken it, implying that it's roommate number 4, the only person who hasn't had something stolen yet. A few days after that, I found her wallet in the trunk of my car. We had gone to get groceries together, and I guess she had just laid it in the trunk while we were unloading. I'm like, "Whoa, I found your wallet." And then I open it up because I'm just excited to confirm that I did indeed find her wallet. Bam! Both stolen gift cards front and center. No doubt. The Visa gift card has my name printed on it, and roommate number 2's mom had written something in Sharpie on his gift card. I realized she had a meltdown because she was afraid we'd find out that she was the thief. I left the wallet, cash and all, right where it was, pushed up against the inner lip of the trunk so you couldn't see it unless you leaned further into the car. A locksmith wouldn't make her new keys without the title, and the title was in the glove box of her locked car. All in all, she spent about $500 replacing her driver's license, title, and keys, not to mention not being able to drive her car for 2 weeks. I moved out of state with her wallet still in my car, finally tossed it in the trash several months later. Sometimes the universe assists you with petty revenge. Sorry if you see this, Chelsea, it was me. This happened over 10 years ago, and I'm happy to report that we've all gone to therapy since then, and we're thankfully no longer terrible human beings. A couple of things to address. Why didn't you confront her? I hated confrontation. I was a huge people pleaser, and I wanted everyone to like me, and I enjoyed watching her suffer. Again, therapy. I'm thankfully no longer like this. Visa gift cards don't have names. Some of them do. The Target gift card itself said happy birthday, and my friend's mom wrote, "To my favorite son," underneath. It was still semi-legible when I found her wallet. Locksmiths don't make car keys. Apparently some do. In the end, she had her car towed to the dealership. I do remember she called a locksmith the first day her wallet was missing because she initially thought it was in her car. She was super mad that the locksmith charged her for the weekend visit without actually unlocking her car. Was he taking advantage of a stupid college kid? Maybe. This was over a decade ago. I was 21, and I'm sure that my brain did not fully absorb the details of her whole ordeal. Turn her into the cops. Bro, have you met college students? Do you know how much illegal stuff they do? It briefly crossed my mind, but petty revenge was far more satisfying. She had an absolute meltdown and missed a few days of work at a newish job dealing with all of this. Am I the jerk for telling my son's pregnant girlfriend that if she keeps disrespecting me, I'll kick her out of my house? I, 43 female, have a son who's 18, who got his high school girlfriend, who was also 18, pregnant. It was obviously an unplanned pregnancy, and it resulted in my son's girlfriend getting kicked out of her house by her mom. I never liked the girl, but I obviously couldn't let her live on the streets now that she's carrying my grandbaby, so I let her live in our house. Now both she and my son gave up on college for the near future, and my son is now working a full-time job so he can provide for them in the future. The problem is that his girlfriend refuses to do anything, absolutely anything all day. She just locks herself in my son's room eating snacks and watching videos on my son's computer. I need to drag her out to just help me with cooking and to clean up at least the room she's staying in. But she's always complaining about how I'm working her like a slave, even though she's already in constant pain because of her pregnancy, and then she'll come crying to my son about the treatment of her. Mind you, she doesn't have a high-risk pregnancy. I know that because my husband and I are the ones who are fully paying for her medical controls, and I don't put her up to do tasks like cleaning the toilet or anything similar. However, she really crossed the line when after I got dressed up, she asked me where I was going, and I told her I was getting ready for church. Her exact response was, "I didn't know there were churches that allowed people to dress the way that you are." At that point, I absolutely had it with her, and I told her straight up that I don't care who she is. I won't allow her to disrespect me while living in my house, and if she can't keep her attitude in check, then she can get out of my house. She pretty much started crying at that point and immediately called my son, who later on also gave me an attitude for treating his girlfriend like garbage when I don't know what she's going through. Eye roll. My husband also thinks that while she was definitely out of line, that she was probably only acting out because of pregnancy hormones, and that I could have handled the situation better without straight up threatening to leave her homeless. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. You should make it clear to your son that his girlfriend needs to earn her keep ASAP. Not the jerk. She needed the wake-up call. You're all she has. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. You called your son who later gave you attitude? Son also needs a firm reminder of who is doing whom the favors. Not the jerk. Keep your word of kicking her out if she's disrespecting you again. You're paying for everything. She's not being mistreated. Pregnancies do not cause enabling pain, and she can at least make the bed. Not the jerk. But why is everyone siding against the pregnant mom in this story? Oh yeah, that's right, because it's not the husband calling her out for her bad behavior. When the husband or boyfriend is the one calling her out for this type of behavior, you all tell him he's in the wrong and she's carrying his baby and he needs to step up. Just another day on Reddit, I guess. Same punishment for being 5 minutes late as being 3 hours late? Sure, no problem. So I'm working for a low-level corporation, about 450 employees. I've been there for 5 years, and I've risen to the top of my department's productivity levels. I mention this as it does pertain to the story. Management had a policy that latecomers would be penalized, but that lateness could be excused under some circumstances. I was good at my job, and I actually loved doing it, so I was more or less a dream employee. I always showed up to work 20 to 30 minutes early because I liked to sit in the lunchroom and prepare for my day. Management knew I was almost always early, so if I was late from time to time, which was rare, they'd let it slide as there was always a valid reason. Now, for some other employees, this latitude wasn't applied. Chronically late employees would get written up and not have their constant lateness excused. They'd complain, of course, but management was firm. They ran an actual meritocracy where more productive employees would experience preferential treatment. Then the business gets sold and we get new management. An international corp only interested in buying us up, stripping us down, and selling off the company. They denied this constantly, but the fact that over the next 2 years they stripped us down and sold off the company proved they were lying. New management comes in and has to make a bunch of idiotic changes. One of those changes is that no reasons for being late are accepted, regardless of validity. Anyone 5+ minutes late for work would be written up. So at the team meeting where this is explained, I asked, so if someone is 5 minutes late and someone else is 3 hours late, the punishment is the same? And they said yes. From that day on, I stopped coming in early. I'd still head to work at my usual time, but I sat in a local coffee shop instead of my work's lunchroom. This meant that my work missed out because in the past I would often help out by answering questions, even start work early if needed. Because I loved my job and the old management were wonderful people. No more of that under new management. In fact, if something happened, like unexpected traffic, and I was going to end up a few minutes late, I'd just say, oh well. If being 3 hours late is the same punishment as 5 minutes late, I'd just decide to come in later. I'd call work to tell them I was delayed, then go out and have a leisurely meal in a restaurant, or run some personal errands, go shopping, even see a movie, etc. Depending on my mood and how crappy the new management had been lately, what would have been, say, a 7-minute lateness on my part ended up seeing me roll in 3 hours late. Sure, it cost me a few bucks, but I made almost as much in bonuses as I did in hourly salary, so missing out on a few hours here and there didn't bother me too much. I'd come in 3 or 4 hours late, and my new bosses would be fuming. Nothing they could do, though, but write me up for the basic tardy, same as they would do if I had been 5 minutes late. Father spoke for his son the entire time. Son ended up coming back to apologize for his father's behavior. I worked at a sporting goods store about 1.5 years ago. It was a fun job. I mostly worked a few hours per week since I had another job doing retail at that time. I mostly worked in the baseball section since baseball is my favorite sport. I had a good time overall until I had to quit when I went off to college. One day, a dad and his son, who was 14 if I remember right, came into the store and were checking out all the new gear for the season. I asked his son his position, what level he plays at, and what hand he throws with. The dad answers for him, kinda snobbishly. He plays elite travel ball. He's a right-handed shortstop. I thought nothing of it at first. I played travel ball, and I know the bat's allowed, and also know the types of parents that get their kids into it. So I take him to the gloves first. He grabs a lower-priced infield glove, maybe $170 or so. It's the glove I use, so I recommended it to him. It's really a great glove. Then the dad sees the $300 A2000 and says, "We'll take this one," before his son even tried it on. I could tell his son was not thrilled, and this was probably not his first rodeo with his dad making choices for him. Then we move over to the bats. Now this is where things get a bit interesting. I ask his son his height, and his dad again answers. I recommend a bat size, and they browse for a bit. His son follows my recommendations and picks out one that he likes. Again, not the most expensive, but it does look cool. Honestly, at his age, the bat doesn't make much of a difference since regulations are tight on what's allowed in the league anyway. His dad then picks up a bat 2 inches too big for his son. He should be swinging a 31 inch. He might be able to get away with a 32 if he's strong, but a 33, what his dad picked up, is too big for his son until he hits a growth spurt. I explained this to the dad. He didn't care. He just wanted the most expensive bat. It was kind of clear to me that it was not even about his son at this point. It was about the dad gearing him up to appear better than the other kids. I'm still trying to explain to his dad, from my own personal experience being a smaller kid, that a large bat is not the best idea for him. His dad says, "I know what's best." His son looked upset, and I felt bad for him. I could tell he was passionate about baseball. He was not in it to look cool, but genuinely did research on what's best for his use case. The products he gravitated towards were all great for him. The last thing before they got cleats, out of my department, is batting gloves. His son asks me which gloves I like to use, so I go to tell him before the father cuts me off and says, "These ones look good." Guess what? They had the highest price tag as well. They're great gloves, but it's not worth the extra price in my opinion. They walk away to get the cleats and ring out with me. Their total was hundreds more than it had to be, and the son did not even get to pick out what he wanted. He came in a few weeks later with his older brother to get another bat since the one his dad picked up for him was too big. Him and his brother were both very grateful for my help, and they apologized for their father. I talked to him a bit about baseball, and he really was just in it for fun. He told me his dad puts a lot of pressure on him and spends tons of money for him to get a spot on the expensive travel team, but he just wants to go out there and have fun with his friends. He also told me that the pressure has made him think about quitting. He said, "I love baseball, I really do, but my dad wants me to be the best, and I'm not that. I just want to have fun with my team." I gave him a pat on the shoulder, and I told him he's the best player he can be. Looked to his older brother, who told him the same thing. Not gonna lie, I got a bit emotional after they left. That moment has stuck with me for over a year now, and it really does suck how much parents dump money into their kids' sports instead of just letting them play and have fun. In my time working there, I have seen lots of parents similar to his father, only wanting the most expensive products, while not even critically questioning if those products are the best ones to buy for their use case. Am I the jerk for telling my wife I don't want to live more in line with my wealth and social status? I've been with my wife since university. We've been together for 14 years, married for 8. My practice has been doing very well, and I do have joint finances with my wife. We have recently been arguing more about money. I'm a frugal person when it comes to things like materialistic items. I'm all for spending on trips and adventures, and we do so often. I just despise spending money on items that overly show my wealth. My wife has made claims that it's unfair and embarrassing that we live the way we do. She wants to be more in line with her friends. I've told her countless times that it's simply not my style. I'm fine with what we have. I don't need to show off or prove something to others. I do understand, and I see that people do talk about us, but I just don't care. Should I have listened to my wife's pleas and given her the finer things, so to speak, so she would feel more included or less of an outcast? Edit. Thanks for the replies and insight. I will speak with her in the morning and try to come up with a compromise. Maybe I'll suggest she can go back to work part-time. I'll still cover every joint expense, and the money she gets from work she can use however she sees fit. Edit. I didn't expect this to blow up. I've been given a lot of time to think about it, and I've been enjoying the discussion that's being had. This sounds like me and my husband. My husband is very frugal. He's more interested in the utilitarian aspect of things. I like pretty shiny things. It actually works when you realize it's a good thing to let the other partner have their way once in a while. My husband makes sure I don't run our finances into the ground with my extravagant tastes, and I make sure he doesn't drive around in a car that looks like a piece of junk. Going to tell you right now that you have 2 choices you will be facing very shortly. 1. You give in to your wife's materialistic desires and spend more money. Or 2. Your wife will divorce you and take half of what you own so she can live the life she wants. You're not the jerk for wanting to be frugal, but be careful here. You're very close to losing half of your stuff. These comments are just dense. Not the jerk, but your wife is. If she wants a luxurious lifestyle, she can get a job and pay for it. I'm sorry, but expecting your partner to provide unnecessary luxury items is ridiculous. This would be a great post to swap the genders on and see the moral outrage. So after reading all of OP's comments in this thread, here's what we know. 1. They do not have kids, nor do they plan to. 2. She stopped working at the start of lockdown and she doesn't want to go back to work. 3. She spent $15,000 shopping last month. 4. They live in a safe home in a diverse community. She says she feels unsafe but won't elaborate on why. Decent chance she's a jerk. And 5. She forces him to wear her hand-picked outfits when they hang out with her friends. At best, she's a lazy gold digger. At worst, she's a manipulative, controlling jerk. The truth is probably in the middle. Not the jerk, and OP losing half of his crap would totally be worth it to divorce. No one sucks here, but here's the thing. Neither is wrong, but neither is right. Your wife deserves some nice things, and you deserve to have savings. You guys need to make compromises. My husband and I are getting ready to move. We're working on compromises of his desire for a really nice home versus my desire for a frugal home. I feel you, I really do. I'm working on realizing that he deserves nice and so do I. I wonder if part of my issue is that I don't feel I deserve nice because I had a bad upbringing. So my question is this: why do you think you should live in a poverty lifestyle when you make a decent amount of money? OP: because I don't mind it, to be honest. I've been to my friends' houses and if I'm being honest, it doesn't feel like a home. I prefer the more homely feel of a modest house. I don't need people to know that I have money. I'm happy with what we have. It's okay to have a modest home, but if your home is like your car, it's not a modest home. It's a falling apart home. OP: my car is also not falling apart. Just because it's older does not mean that it's a junker. Not sure where you got that our home is falling apart, but it's not. What is the average life expectancy of the car that you have, and roughly how long until you achieve that? What are some of the expected failures and repair costs associated with it? Would you be able to compromise in purchasing a used luxury vehicle? Look, there's a reason this guy has the money he does and you guys don't. You're foolish. Not the jerk. First off, I'm female, and I've had a long and successful career in marketing. In my world, my colleagues and I are open and honest with each other about things that you'd never hear us say in mixed company, and that Reddit probably won't want to hear. The truth is that most marketing campaigns are geared towards women because they are generally more easily converted into customers than men are. I could write a thesis about this stuff, but I'll spare you the boredom. The main reason why is because of how our brains operate and the reward factor of obtaining something new. It's a biological thing that goes way back into our history as humans. Men typically feel more rewarded when they accomplish something, whereas women feel more accomplished when they obtain something. Even most of the campaigns I've worked on that target male customers target their desire to attract women. Fitness, finance, real estate, vehicles, etc. Edit: wow, I knew some of you would be upset about this, but some of you are taking it to the next level. Okay, guess I'm wrong then. The person with CMO of $1 billion company on their resume is totally wrong, and all you Redditors are right. Sure. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his wife? Please let us know. If you're frugal and you like to not waste money on unnecessary expenses, don't marry someone who's very materialistic. It totally won't be worth it. There's a book called The Millionaire Next Door. It explains how most millionaires in America, you would never know that they're millionaires because they don't show it off. And most of the people out there who think it's important to keep up with the Joneses, they're spending beyond their means, and it's just not a smart thing to do. They really should teach more about financial education in high school. Well, Karen, there's a reason that our system is designed this way. If more people knew how to manage their finances effectively, they wouldn't waste money on things they don't need, and corporate profits would plummet. Stop telling me the depressing truths of reality and read the next story. Karen wants her breakfast. I work at a hotel. I'm on the graveyard shift, and we have a continental breakfast from 6 to 9, and my shift ends at 7, so I'm in charge of setting up for breakfast. It's not a big deal. It's a small hotel and a small breakfast, but we do have waffles and a couple of waffle makers. Basically, guests come in, they get their batter out of the dispenser and make their waffles so they're fresh and hot. We have 2 seasons where I live, winter and construction season, and we get work crews that stay at the hotel on the boss's dime and then go out for whatever job they're working on, and we very frequently get this one crew of guys. They're great guys, they're polite, and they don't leave the breakfast room a mess, but their shift starts super early in the morning. We also get hunters who are in and out before 6, so I usually have everything set up by 5:30 for them. I say usually because I'm only human. Sometimes I'm running late, it happens, but I'm never more than 5 minutes after 6. The workers and the hunters are super chill about it. They get it and don't complain about waiting a couple of extra minutes. I also feel the need to add that the foreman is among them, so he's eating when they are. So one day I'm running a little late. I got caught up with what I was doing and kind of lost track of time, so I was rushing to get everything set up while the guys are patiently waiting in the lobby. In enters Karen, who sees the time, sees that breakfast isn't ready, and decides to yell at me for it, saying that the sign says breakfast is from 6 to 9 and should be started exactly at 6. I tried to keep working while talking to her so I could get the breakfast ready, but she decides that was rude. So I had to stop what I was doing and stand there with her yelling at me until she ran out of breath and I could finish setting up. Karen complains to the manager. I get a verbal warning that I have to have breakfast open by 6 as I was about 15 minutes behind because Karen was yelling at me when I would have been less than 4 minutes if she had let me finish. Well, Karen was a stayover and she was in the next day before 6. The manager refunded part of her stay under guest satisfaction, and I think she was hoping to find me doing something wrong so she could get another refund. But I was on my game and had everything set up by 5:30 like usual. She came in before the workers and saw me sitting at the front desk and sneered about me being lazy when I should be setting up for breakfast. I told her that breakfast was already ready as the construction workers are entering. But I stand and walk over to block the doorway to the breakfast room and told her that I couldn't let them in because the manager said I had to start the breakfast at exactly 6, so I couldn't let them back until then. And as I'm saying this, I'm looking directly at Karen. Slowly, heads turn and Karen goes red and mutters something about coming back later and leaves. So I let the guys back in. They said it was funny, and like I said, the workers have had to wait a little after 6 before with no problem, and the foreman was there. To be clear, if I thought this stunt was going to cost them their breakfast, I never would have done it, but I knew that wasn't going to be a problem. I didn't see Karen again, so either she didn't come back or she returned after I left. But either way, I didn't hear another word from the manager about it. You want your breakfast at 6? You're gonna get your breakfast at 6. My Karen stepmom demands I give up my room for her daughter. So I, 16 female, live with my dad since he and my mom split up, and just recently he got married to Kelly. Kelly has a daughter who's 13 and a son who's 9, and they just moved in with us. My dad and I's house has 4 rooms. The master bedroom has a master bathroom inside of it, and my room is just a little bit smaller, but it also has a bathroom in the room too. Then there are the other 2 rooms that don't have a bathroom but have walk-in closets, unlike mine. All of the rooms have beds and dressers, you know, all the stuff that makes a room, without the personal decorations that you choose. When they came to move in, her daughter ran straight past one of the vacant rooms and into mine. My walls are purple, and I have Marvel and DC posters hanging up on the wall. I also have a mirror attached to my dresser with lights around it. So once I showed her son to the room he would be sleeping in, I went into my room and saw her bringing her stuff into my room. And so I told her that this isn't her room and that she has to have one of the rooms with no decorations. She immediately starts flipping out. She started yelling, saying she was gonna tell her mom and my dad that I'm being mean to her and trying to bully her because she was younger. Her mom and my dad came into the room due to all the yelling and asked what was going on. And so I told them that she thinks my room is hers and she won't leave. But she said that this has to be her room because it's her favorite color, purple, and it has a bathroom, so it has to be hers. My dad explained to her that she can get her room painted whatever color she wants, and we can get her the posters and pictures she wants also. But she said she doesn't want a room that doesn't have a bathroom, so this one should be hers. Her mom ended up agreeing with her, saying that I've had this room for a very long time and I can just restart in the other room, and I should give it to her since she's younger. So I told her that I won't give up my room because this has all of my stuff in it and I'm comfortable in my room, so her daughter will have to go to the other only available room. She's saying that I'm being rude and mean to my new little sister and I should be reasonable and give her my room and be the bigger person and act my age and not like a little kid. So, am I the jerk? Edit. I see a lot of people are asking how my dad feels and what's his opinion on this, and he said that I can choose to do whatever because it's my room and I'm old enough to talk for myself. Not the jerk. She's 13, not 3. It's your room. It was your room before your dad married, and it should be your room until you move out. Don't budge on this. Make sure your dad keeps supporting you. Good luck. If no ages were mentioned, I could have very well thought that she was 3. If she's this entitled from the very beginning, I can't imagine how terrible it would be to live with her long term. I really feel bad for OP. 1000% not the jerk. Now that you mention living with her long term, OP needs to get a lock and keep the door locked whenever she's not in there, or stepbrat may end up in there stealing her stuff or breaking her things. Not the jerk. You shouldn't have to start over in a new room. Plus, in my experience, the eldest kids get to pick their rooms and then down to the youngest. This is because when the old kids move out, the younger ones can then have their rooms. Your stepmom is being stupid and setting a precedent that won't end well. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her stepmom? Please let us know. I'm really disappointed Dad isn't stepping in here and going off on them. You don't just come into someone's house and demand to take their room. My boyfriend dumps me for sending him a photo of me at the hospital. I, 20 female, was recently admitted into a hospital for a night due to a serious but not life-threatening illness. I was completely out of it for several days with horrible pain before my roommate convinced me to get medical help. She took off work to stay with me in the hospital, and I cannot express how much her support has helped as my own family lives too far away. Now, I've been dating Sam, who's 19, for about 9 months. He knew I was sick, and so I texted him when I was first going into the hospital to update him. Since he was working, he didn't read the message until much later. I sent him around 6 text messages updating him with what the nurses were saying and including a photo of me on IV giving a thumbs up. It was my first time ever in the hospital, and I just wanted to keep the bad situation as lighthearted as possible. He responded a few hours later with a thumbs up, and that was all. I asked if everything was all right, and he said, "Yeah, just you being in the hospital is giving me a lot of anxiety. I'd rather not see you looking like that." I told him that was okay and didn't message him for the rest of the night, not thinking much of it. The next afternoon, his mom called me asking if I was okay. She had the impression that I sent him the hospital photo after he told me not to share any information and was disrespecting his request. She reminded me that his grandfather only passed a year earlier, where Sam had to spend a lot of time in and out of the hospital, so the updates were making him grieve all over again. I apologized to her and sent him a text saying that I didn't mean to hurt his feelings. He left me on red. My roommate thinks that I didn't do anything wrong at all, and he's being too sensitive and immature for involving his mom. Personally, I think this is a bit unfair, as he was really close with his grandfather and struggles with anxiety. I really feel guilty now, as I know how mental health can be, and I never want him to suffer. Am I the jerk? Update. This morning I woke up to a text from Sam asking for a break. He told me he needed to focus on himself and that there's too much drama in this relationship. I agree. I've been with Sam through all of his anxiety attacks, holding him, crying in my arms more times than I can count. He has never done the same for me. I've made excuses over and over again for this behavior. I've begged him to go to therapy and he's always refused. This hospital stay and your comments have been eye-opening. Oh, and for his mom? She reminded me to let go of my feeling and do what's best for me. I'm starting up therapy because I'll be needing the support when you're gone. I actually laughed out loud at that one. She hasn't reached out to me yet, and I hope she never does. My roommate and I are figuring out how to end things once and for all. So yeah, that's it for now. Feeling a lot of emotions, but I know it's for the best. Also, thank you so much to the lovely Redditors who have given me advice and wished me well. I'm doing much better, and I appreciate it a ton. It's like lobsters. You've just measured him, he's not grown enough. Put him back in the sea. I had one boyfriend, he was 26 at the time, who visited me once when I was in the hospital for a week. We'd been together for 2 years and were living together. We didn't last. My next boyfriend was 21 when I was hospitalized. I was in between their ages, on our first anniversary of meeting. He was in the hospital with me holding the cardboard chuck-up trays and visited every day. Both had difficult shift patterns. I'm still with number 2 now, 19 years later. You're not the jerk unless you break fishing law and don't return the baby lobster to the sea. Not the jerk. His mom called you to say how disrespectful you are while you're recovering in the hospital? That's a new one. You would have had to be told to not share pictures or any more messages or pics before not considering his feelings. Life is tough and you were reaching out for support. Not the jerk. And please leave your boyfriend and his mother. He's more concerned about his feelings than about how you're doing. He didn't even ask how you were or hope you felt better or anything. That's wrong. I want to write something else, very rude here. You're in a hospital bed for the first time ever, in pain, and you shouldn't be the one worrying about him suffering. Rethink your priorities and what you want in a boyfriend. Not the jerk. This guy isn't ready to be an adult, let alone in a relationship. You were in the hospital, and rather than expressing concern, he talked about his own anxiety, and then he sent his mommy after you. Run. Red flags. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her boyfriend and his mom? Please let us know. He sounds like even more of a mummy's boy than you, Reddit boy. Am I the jerk for mentioning my best friend's former crush on me at his wedding? Okay, I'm currently in a predicament, and frankly, I could really use some opinions. For backstory, I, female 27, met one of my best friends, Christian, male 26, back in 2010 during our freshman year of high school. We became friends and remained close over the years since, making a lot of great memories and sharing mutual close friends. From 2013 to 2016, Christian had pretty serious unrequited feelings for me. However, he eventually got over me, and I had never even let his feelings harm our friendship. If anything, our friendship honestly got closer after he got over me. In early 2018, Christian met Victoria, female 29, at a bar, and they hit it off. They started dating after 2 weeks, got engaged in late 2021, and the wedding happened yesterday night. It was honestly a great time as I watched with my parents and mutual friends as the kid I've known for 12 years was getting married to the love of his life. Plus, Victoria and I honestly had a pretty decent relationship, and according to Christian, she didn't really seem to care about his past feelings as time went on. Anyway, as the night kept going with a lot of music and dancing, I got up to eventually give a speech for Christian. I talked about how we first met, how much our lives changed since then, and just how great of a person Christian was. The attendees were clearly touched, and Christian and Victoria both looked happy. As I talked more about our history, I jokingly mentioned how Christian had the hots for me, but that didn't matter because he found his soulmate and that our friendship was stronger than some unrequited feelings. Most of the crowd laughed, and I could even see Christian smiling for a second before seeing Victoria's confused face. After the speech was over, I went over to the bar with a few friends. Christian came up and hugged me, thanking me for the speech. However, at our hotel, one of my other best friends, Devin, female 27, told me she had heard gossip from the bridesmaids that Victoria was really upset with me for bringing up Christian's previous feelings for me at the wedding. Apparently, Victoria genuinely had no issue with Christian's feelings, but felt it was inappropriate to mention them at a wedding. I sincerely intended no harm with my actions. Maybe I didn't read the room. Everyone I've told is honestly split on whether I'm the bad guy or not, so it's definitely been polarizing. Christian hasn't mentioned any of this to me, and I'm not sure I should ask him. Am I the jerk? Edit. To those of you asking about whether the speech was planned or impromptu, I had asked Christian's parents beforehand if I could give a speech, and they were more than happy with it. People have to stop with the assumptions that this has anything to do with me having feelings, though. Yeah, saying that in my speech was probably an idiot move, but my sincere intention was to tell everyone about our 12 years of friendship and some of its history, and like I said, people were touched up until my fateful joke. Oh, you pulled the "he was into me first" card. He was in love with me, but I turned him down, and so now he's into you. Yeah, you're the jerk. How tasteless. I agree. This screams, I should always be the center of attention, intended or not. Also, your crush was such an ego boost that I still revel in it 6 years after it ended. This is what it was all about. OP can deny it all she wants, but this was not about celebrating years of friendship with her friend, but about stroking her own ego one last time. You'll be forever known as the groom's female friend who said, "He was into me first" during a speech at the wedding. There's a time and a place for jokes like that, but a speech at a wedding reception isn't one of them. You're the jerk. Exactly. OP for sure owes the couple an apology, but frankly, the person she humiliated here is herself. All the guests at this wedding will be dining off this story for years to come. The time I went to a wedding and a drunk friend of the groom tried to imply he was her sloppy seconds to the bride is a pretty killer anecdote, likely to elicit many horrified reactions and follow-up questions from its audience. You're the jerk. You don't bring that stuff up at a wedding, joking or not. This speech was supposed to be about Christian and Victoria, not about Christian's past feelings for you. Imagine how uncomfortable you made Victoria feel. I also bet the crowd laughed out of more discomfort for the situation. You need to apologize to the bride and groom. I understand you didn't mean that comment maliciously at all. It was just wildly inappropriate considering the time and place. Not the jerk. This is what the dude gets for sticking around as that guy friend for so long. I know most of you will think I'm crazy for saying this, but I need to speak the truth right quick. Me being a young woman who always keeps it 100. All guy friends are only sticking around because they want to hook up with you. It took years for this to finally click in my head, but once it made sense, everything just clicked. Don't believe me? Text one of your guy friends right now and ask if they want to hook up with you tonight. They will jump at the opportunity because that's the only reason they're into you. Guy friends who we don't hook up with are just emotional sponges and used as an ego boost for our self-esteem. I'm speaking facts right now that y'all will hate me for, but I've talked to many of my homegirls about this, and in private, they will admit that this is 100% true. But of course, in public, they want to act like dude friends are legit interested in them for who they are. It's crazy how we all gotta act fake in real life and deny the truth. Downvote me all you want. I'm in reality keeping it 100, while you over here denying straight facts. Well, what do you think? Is OP the jerk for what she said in her speech or not? Please let us know.
This never would have happened if OP would have just kept it 100. Skirt, skirt.
Well, I guess in a way she was kind of keeping it 100. It's not like she was lying, right?
You know what I mean, Reddit boy.
Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard.
Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.